From the National Weather Service in Raleigh, it's Nick Petro with your tropical. Actually, I should rename this slide. It's actually Hurricane Isaias. So it's actually Hurricane. So my apologies here for the wrong title here. But anyway, it's your 9 p.m. update for Central North Carolina. I wanted to take this opportunity to touch base with everybody. We've been, trying to stay connected with everybody to let you know what's going on. And I thought, why not? Let's do another quick webinar. So the center of the storm is moving basically parallel to Myrtle Beach right now. It's just off the just offshore Myrtle Beach. And I wanted to show this water vapor image here, satellite image, because clearly there's a lot of things going on here. And while up until this point, we haven't really seen wind gusts too terribly strong. Things are evolving. It has strengthened. It's now a hurricane. There's been a hurricane force gusts offshore, and you'll notice this area of yellow here that's slamming into the west side of this. That is actually going to help this weather feature here that's just west of Visayas is going to impact this storm from a standpoint of helping to give it sort of some mid-latitude energy. It's not unusual as these things lift north, they transition into a mid-latitude system. And as this storm moves north, overland over our area tonight, it's going to start to feel some influence and some large-scale ascent, believe it or not, from this weather system approaching it from the west. So we are expecting this storm to in some regards, be a little bit more prolific in terms of what it's doing right now. So if you're looking at it on radar now, we may actually see a little bit of an expansion in rain development, and perhaps which may turn out and evolve into some stronger gusts than what it's doing over land right now. But that's not the only thing going on right now. Let me turn your attention to real quick to, of course, nothing's changed with our tropical storm warnings, but if I could say this right, Isaias has been upgraded to a hurricane with max sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. And the big news right now is, of course, the tornado threat is increasing. And right now, the tornado watch was just issued. The yellow area highlighted on this map is a new tornado watch just issued within the last 15 minutes that's in effect until 6 a.m. Tuesday. So all night tonight, the area in the yellow is going to have a pretty high chance of seeing some of these isolated outer rain band tornadoes. And speaking of these tornadoes, a couple things I wanted to show you just so we can put into perspective that this storm means business. This is a Wilmington radar. Let me back up here, and this storm, clearly, this particular cell here, just west of Southport. I wish I could go back a little bit further, but when it came on shore, and you can see here's the report: apparent tornado damage report from Skywarn spotter of a roof torn off a house, in Bald Head Island. There's another report here of a tornado touchdown, and we got incredible tornado debris signatures, and this is old radar. This isn't current from that. So clearly, this was a very powerful tornado, as this continued to evolve over time, we continued to get additional tornado debris signatures. Here's another one, and then yet another one further west. So anyway, let me put it to the current time frame, and here's the current radar. There is this is the most recent, and we can see there is some rotation here just west of southwest of Burgos. So now, while this area is outside of the Raleigh coverage area, these cells are moving into or approaching the National Weather Service Raleigh coverage area, which begins here with Sampson County. So if you're in Sampson County, certainly the tornado risk is going to be increasing here very, very soon. Basically, as I zoom out here, let me put a little bit of a highlighter on here. This whole band right here is going to be very capable of producing tornadoes, and this whole band is kind of moving off kind of north and and northwest. So, this whole area in here over the next, let me erase this so actually make it a little bit easier to see. But here's the line right now of tornadic, producing storms. This area generally in here, right here, will have the risk of, we'll see this band lifting up into here over the next hour or two. So anyway, that's what prompted, as I pointed out, the tornado watch to be expanded across a larger portion of eastern North Carolina. So anyway, let me get my pointer back here. So this is the first of the sort of closer or more inner bands that are rotating around the center. The center of the storm is right here, east of Georgetown, southeast of Myrtle Beach. You can see the, let me put this into a loop, and you can see that circulation. So indeed, this is approaching. It's coming. It's if anything, it might be a touch faster than maybe what we had been what we've been advertising. But essentially, these rain bands that are closer to the center, that rain band, this rain band, these are the rain bands that mean business. So anyway, we're going to have to be closely watching this throughout the night. All right, let me move this off to the side and let me drag a different display program on here. This is GR Earth, and I wanted to show basically this is the same, the more or less the same thing. Once it loads, I apologize for the delay in it loading. Let me reopen it here. I think it's worth taking the time to do this because I wanted to show you how this is all going to evolve. So we'll let technology here try to catch up and refresh and reload. And there it goes. It was worth reloading. And you can see as we put this into a loop, there are those bands that are rotating around. I know it's flashing. That's just because it's loading on my end. But as soon as it's all loaded in here, you'll see, here's these bands that are closer to the center. And when these bands will continue to lift north, and that's basically what's going to happen over the course of the night, and one other thing, let me draw your attention to, look at this line of storms that are approaching it from the west. This is a real fascinating system because these storms are associated with that upper level disturbance coming from the west. And once that disturbance passes by or begins to put its influence on Isaias, as it lifts north, it could help to maybe intensify some of these bands as those bands move across eastern and east central North Carolina. So we're still keeping that as a possibility, and some of our models are indicating that. So let me turn off radar and let me turn on model data. And the one model data I'm going to use for this particular demonstration purposes here is the high-res rapid refresh, because this is a pretty sophisticated model and it's pretty good to use over the course of the next 12 hours. And you can see what this model is doing. Let me back up here, and it has those isolated cells that have the possibility of producing tornadoes. It has those bands kind of lifting north across the coastal plain in eastern North Carolina. The time frame on this right here, this is midnight. So let me back up here. This is 11 p.m. This is midnight. So somewhere right before midnight, it looks like the center of the storm, according to this high-resolution model, should come ashore sometime around or maybe just before midnight. And then the center appears, at least in this particular model, which is a pretty decent model in the next few hours, is going to lift north. This time frame right here, this is 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and that unfortunately the 0Z run hasn't loaded all the way in, so we only can go out to 6 a.m. But the point is that look how those bands are going to basically lift up and move across a good portion of eastern North Carolina. Now, in terms of wind, we can use this as sort of a proxy for the timing of wind, and I'm not really necessarily wanting to draw your attention to the exact values, but just use the colors or the shades as kind of a rough idea of trends. So notice how these blue and orange shades here currently appear to darken as it lifts north across eastern North Carolina. you notice how basically what that indicates is that the winds that we're currently seeing over land, Myrtle Beach over to Florence, are pretty light right now compared to what they will be once the center lifts across eastern North Carolina. And what we're thinking is happening here is that influence of that upper level system coming from the west to perhaps allow some of the dry air to mix in, maybe some winds to be able to winds aloft to be able to mix down. But suffice it to say, the expectation is overnight. We are expecting some occasionally strong wind gusts with these bands. Here's the bands. Here's the way the radar may look like. And then the main thing I wanted to draw your attention to is how the trend is in the wind. This is a wind speed approximation, a wind gust. So let me back up here. And again, one more time, I just want to show you how, notice over from Myrtle Beach to Florence, it's the blues and greens, and notice how it increases in intensity, and the intensity scales on the left here. Notice how it increases in intensity as it lifts across along and east of the I-95 corridor. So let me give you a time frame on this here. This is midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and so on. So you can see we're going to be dealing with some gusty winds in our tropical storm warned area right through the entire overnight period. Now, if you're wondering how long are these strong winds going to stay with us, well, let's just pick any given point on the map. Let's just say Goldsboro, okay? And how long are you going to be in those oranges and reds? Well, there's 1 hour, 2 hour, a little break, 3 hours, 4 hours maybe. So somewhere between 3 and 4 hours. And if you pick any spot on the map, pick Clinton, for example, and it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, it's out. So the point is this thing is going to be moving very quickly, and overnight when these stronger winds affect us, we're talking maybe a period of 4 hours where they're possible. So it's not going to be blowing, 40 to 60 miles per hour all night. 40 to 60 is going to come in gusts, and those gusts are only going to be possible for a small window of time, maybe about 3 to 4 hours. Okay, and again, that's along and east of I-95, 40 to 60 mile per hour gusts. So not sustained, but in gusts. So we're not out of the woods yet, and I just wanted to point that out because if you're on our webpage and you're going to the observation site I showed you earlier, here's the current conditions. Whoops, let me, I'm clicking, bear with me here while I get caught back up. So remember I showed this earlier today. If you go to weather.gov/Raleigh, click on current conditions, click on observation map, and then this loads a map of current conditions. And then we can put on some boundaries, and then put on some observations. Actually, I already got it loaded here, so let me just jump right to there. And you'll notice I wanted to point out these are current wind gusts. So wind gusts right now are 18, 16, 20, 20 miles per hour, but there's a gust of 40, and that was at the Georgetown County Airport. Gust of 40 miles per hour here within the last hour. So you can see, we're seeing 20 to 40 mile per hour winds in this band. And remember what I showed you, the trends? These winds are expected in this band to perhaps increase a little bit as it lifts north across east central North Carolina. So just wanted to put that in a little bit of context. There's a gust to 60 offshore, and we could see gusts anywhere from low to mid 30s to upwards of 40 miles per hour. So look for these values to perhaps increase a little bit as they cross the coastal plain of North Carolina. All right. So let's get back to the slides here and just kind of run through this real quick. Bear with me here for just a second. I hope I didn't mute the, okay, nope. So anyway, there's the tornado watch. And then this, I'm going to be emailing out these slides. This basically conveys what I just showed on the other program, just the simulation of radar reflectivity and wind. And again, just to reiterate, here's the 10 p.m. forecast. Oops, let me actually put this into presentation mode. Here's the 10 p.m. forecast, and notice how the winds west of the eye or west of the center are pretty weak, but notice how they look for the trends. The trends is what I want to point out. Notice how it increases a little bit as we head through the middle of the overnight hours. So, but certainly by 9 a.m. For Central North Carolina, it's over. It's over, and we're done for the day, both wind and rain. Okay, so rain will be over by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, and so will the wind. So let me back up one more time. Here's 10 p.m., midnight at the bottom, 3 a.m., right in the middle of the night. The center of the storm is going to be moving right up across the coastal plain just east of I-95, and the intense band just west of the center will be moving along the I-95 corridor, and then done by 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. All right. So we haven't really changed our forecast for wind gust. We're still expecting, and again, it won't be blowing 40 to 60 all night long. Don't think it's going to be like this all night. Only for a short period of time, maybe 3-4 hours at the most, will you have an opportunity for a short window of time for 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts overnight. Maybe 20 to 40 mile per hour gusts from US 1 over to I-95, and then at least towards the triad, you look like you're going to be in good shape tonight. All right, rainfall, no changes there. We're still expecting a swath of 3 to 5, maybe 6 inches along the I-95 corridor. No changes there. And again, with the winds increasing, so too will the rainfall. So we're still fairly confident in these rainfall amounts. All right, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the river flooding. Nothing has changed there. The Neuse River at Clayton, moderate. The Neuse River at Smithfield, almost reaching major. Neuse River at Goldsboro, eventually later in the week, will reach minor flood stage, and Tar River at Tarboro reaching minor flood stage as well later this week. Okay, no changes with any of these bullet points from earlier today. So anyway, that's what I want to leave you with. Just a quick update here of what's going on. I'll bring the radar back up here, the live radar, so we can see what new warnings are in effect, if any. And let's get this latest frame here. And we can see here again, just noting that these bands do have a history of producing tornadoes. And let me back up one more time to reiterate that. Here we have some roof damage to a home with a cell that went through earlier. So anyway, busy night ahead of us. We're going to have to watch these little cells right here. Each one of these little cells does show signs of rotating. So we're going to be keeping our eyes on these little cells. And I do suspect there'll be more tornado warnings being issued throughout the night. Remember, tornado warnings come to you automatically over your cell phones via wireless emergency alerts. And then eventually, I would imagine we're going to start rolling out flash flood warnings too, and those will come to your cell phones as well over wireless emergency alerts. So that is the 9 p.m. update.